Well, Ulises, we have a busy docket today as we need to recap FanFest 2024 that was at the Trop this past weekend, plus continue our positional previews with Shortstop.
A tough morning we have because we have to do a lot. So let's get started right now.
You are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we are the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making us your very first listen every day. Be sure to check out and subscribe to us on our YouTube channel at Locked On Rays. You can also find us on X and Instagram at Locked On Rays. And email us anytime. I believe we've had a mailbag question or two filter in, so we'll hopefully maybe try to get to those this week or relatively soon. All right, Ulises, you and I and some others celebrated FanFest this past weekend. I was a little bit late due to some traffic and parking and weather issues, but beside that, I thought it was a great event and a well-attended event with a lot to do and a lot to take advantage of.
A ton to do, and I think it was the perfect scenario for getting more Rays fans in because of the weather outside. It was such a crappy day for doing anything outdoorsy that the Trop offering, hey, come here for 5 hours and it'll be like a family fun day. Boom. Perfect.
Yeah. Why didn't Stu Sternberg begin manipulating the weather early on over the last couple of years?
People say that it was too expensive, and now he's found a way to do it in a more efficient financial way.
Somebody that can alter the weather conditions. Yeah, that's a good point because there was, I believe, State Fair going on, Gasparilla Music Festival. I mean, there's always something going on, but there were some heavy hitting shindigs that weekend. So, I from what I saw and encountered, baseball fans came out in droves for this thing.
And it was heavily crowded for a long time. Like not until around like 4 it started to like thin out, but it was pretty cool to see a lot of people there. I want to thank Kyle, Kaylin, Austin, Carlos, Melissa, Don. I'm not missing out anybody that said hi to us. So thank you guys for coming over, talking some ball. That was pretty cool. I think everybody had a good time. I mean, you had the video game set up with the kids, with the beanbag chairs. You had the ping pong table. You had the basketball arcade. You had face painting. You had a lot of things for kids to be entertained. And then plus, you've got major league players just walking around you and stopping to take pictures and all that. For example, I saw Junior Caminero at the bat around setup they had, where you can take a few swings and it makes it into an app. I forget how it works, but it was pretty cool. And Junior Caminero was doing it, and I came over because it sounded like the bat sounded a little bit different coming off Junior than just a random Joe. And I was like,
it sounded like an elite athlete versus a 14-year-old or something.
I was like, that has to be somebody. So I went over and Junior Caminero with 2 necklaces that should have weighed him down heavily. And yet the man's neck was still upright, which was a feat in itself because they were very nice looking MLB swag necklaces, which means the man is ready, Kevin. When you have swag like that, you have already said to the world, I'm an MLB player. I'm going to be in the minors for a very short time.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention this. I think for you, Ulises, the highlight of that day was meeting, interacting, encountering one Clint Hurdle, who is very personable and awesome to speak with and shoot stories back and forth, particularly with his time playing in the Venezuelan league.
Yeah. Clint Hurdle. I've obviously most people know him as as a manager of the Rockies and manager of the Pirates. But I've been hearing that name, and the older folk know him as a player.
Yeah,
but,
I think he played like a decade in the bigs, and he was supposed to be the next great catcher, whatever, and he just lived up to kind of have a humdrum journeyman career, but still a lot of baseball life experience in that noggin of his.
Yeah, and so I've listened to his name since I was a kid, just because he played in Venezuela, and my dad would tell me about him. And so, like, when I saw him, I was like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity to just let's see, like, if he remembers some of his experiences in Venezuela. And that was really cool. Like, he remembered the names, and he was telling us how he took 3 years of Spanish in high school. And in 3 months of being in the Winter League in Venezuela, he learned way more in those 3 months than in those 3 years. So he came back 2 more times after that to the country. So that was really cool. I had a really good time. And thank you for taking a picture. That was really awesome.
Yeah, I tried my best there. But no, I think there was plenty to do, plenty to see. I think a good balance of things for the kids to do, the older adults, and a mix for everybody as well. I enjoyed the clubhouse tour. While I didn't buy anything per se, I think they had a good collection of merchandise and apparel. I didn't get a chance to see the charity yard sale. That's always picked over by the time I get there. But it really did seem like within that 4-hour span, 1 to 5 p.m., you really could go that entire event without really getting bored. I think there was enough spaced out to do. And then in the concourse, if you really wanted to take the time to walk around, that's an opportunity to check out, get some samples, get some snacks, get some drinks, but also some of the historical settings of like the Hall of Fame section and different things like that. That's where you can kind of really walk around and see. Couple of things that I noticed. One was players were wearing the new crappy jerseys that are being outsourced by Nike to Fanatics. They look really weird. I saw one kid in a Wander Franco jersey, so he is not giving that up. I just couldn't help but stare and look at like what kind of
how old was the kid?
I think junior, sophomore, senior in high school. He had to be a high school kid, I would think.
Oh, kid, you need to know better now.
Yeah, you got to know better. You can't be, it's one thing if you're an 8-year-old, but yeah, when you're 16, 17.
Somebody do a GoFundMe for that kid to get a new jersey.
Yeah, you should be able to take it to the team store and exchange and get whichever other one you want, whether it's Johnny Diaz or Randy or whatever. And then I know we've talked about this before, but it would be really cool and interesting to see if they upped the MLB alumni signing autographs. Some of the recognizable names. Let's bring in some X-rays or some guys that have a little bit more career war to them besides Anthony
X names. Don't
I'm sorry, I won't say names. But and I think it's probably one of those things where whoever's organizing, the group of people organizing this, they probably choose a list of names from a circuit. They can't be dealing with, the more popular a player is, probably the harder it is to get them at these sort of functions. So it's just like check the box. Okay, we know we have this X number of players that we can lock down and get to appear. But it'd be, I guess my one constructive criticism is maybe bring in some more former Rays players that bring some positivity to the organization, like a Johnny Gomes, for example, like a John Jay. So probably be
Jason
tough.
Bartlett.
Those types of guys. I think it'd be cool to showcase them a little bit. Other than that, I thought it was a wonderful, wonderful event. Great to see all the baseball fans around. People are excited for sure. All right, we got to move on to our shortstop positional preview for the Rays. But first, we have to tell you this. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and so much more. So just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon, LOCKEDON, to shoot your shot today. FanDuel, they are an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. All right, Ulises, moving into our competition series. We've done first base, we've done second base, now we have shortstop, and with this series, we like to discuss the candidates, how the playing time will be divvied up, and some possible dark horses as well for that competition. So with that, Ulises, who do you believe or think will be the main characters for this position? I have a good idea of one or two off the top of my head.
And I think this one, although might have the most controversial, like, ooh, shortstop, like what's going to happen this year? Honestly, I think it's one of the most clear-cut competitions or split up time on this position that you're going to see during this series that we're trying to do for each position, because it's José Caballero's spot to lose.
Yeah,
like that's
the Rays have pretty much said that. We've seen the press clippings. There's a reason they went out and traded Luke Raley for him. But the sole knowing that we want to more or less try to plug and play that guy into that spot.
Yeah, and he's going to have basically all spring to just show them what he can do. And for Taylor Wallace to be injured in the beginning of the season, it's going to give him maybe a bigger ramp to show what he can do. So if he starts off hot, that's going to be good news for him, because when Taylor Wallace comes back, he's going to be used sparingly, rather than if José Caballero is struggling. Now, when Taylor Wallace is coming back, now you're going to probably see more of a 50-50 or even 60-40 Taylor Wallace, because they're going to be like, look, if the other guys can't hit, might as well put the guy that we think is better defensively at shortstop, and it's going to hit worse. But really, the overall discrepancy in value, it's really not that much. We would rather just have the better glove there. So if you are a José Caballero fan, you want him to get started hot. So then that way, when Taylor Wallace comes out, there's a clear hierarchy of like, no, this guy is the main guy, and Taylor Wallace can just be used for rest days.
Yeah. And I think that's important for him. Caballero, who I think there's still some untapped potential with him. He just, completed his rookie season. And I think having a larger lane and pathway, he can kind of tune out the distractions or pressures of a spring training competition and just focusing on bettering himself, more or less knowing that, the spot is him going into the regular season. I think having that at least a month plus of he's the guy to really showcase himself, I think could really be a benefit to him as he gets settled into that position, because he was more so a second baseman in Seattle. But I know it's not quite the panache of Wander Franco, but I am on the José Caballero train, just what he can do with hitting all types of pitches, pulling all types of pitches. I think that's something that the Rays may try to mirror what they did with Isaac Paredes as being a pull happy hitter with Caballero a little bit. I mean, if you look at his highlights, just almost anything and everything is hit down the left field line or in the left field gap. Like he is, I think he's built to be a pull hitter. I think there's some things that the Rays did with Paredes that they can maybe replicate with Caballero a little bit, but he can make all the throws. He can pick all the balls, and he has the athletic speed side of his game. I think he just, from what I've read, is he does seem to be an upbeat energy guy that, when he's on your team, you really appreciate it.
The way he taunted Garrett Cole last year, it gave me who was your name that wore the other day, 2 weeks ago? Milwaukee Brewers, Carlos Gomez. Cargo. Yeah. It gives me those types of vibes, which is great when you have that guy in your clubhouse. I mean, you might not like him from the other side, but when he's on your team, you like him. And again, if the two main candidates are Taylor Walls and Caballero, very similar walk rates at 10%, very similar K rates at 24%. So you're not really distinguishing each other from there. But WRC Plus, it's like 20 points higher Caballero than Walls, and the base running, which, by the way, Taylor Walls is a tremendous base runner, not a tremendous base stealer and a tremendous base runner. But when you look at Caballero's numbers in 2023, he had a 5.2 BSR, which is elite, which is incredible. This is exactly what you want in a guy that should be utilizing his athleticism and his speed. So again, if you did mention he played more second than shortstop last year, which is true. 64 games at second and only 21 at short. So he's got a month in advance of them telling him, hey, you're the guy. Just worry about shortstop for now. And then spring training, just worry about shortstop. So hopefully that's enough time for a guy that has played shortstop in the past to really just cement himself and just show that he can take care of the position. He doesn't have to be elite. He doesn't have to be Taylor Walls, because on the other side, if he can just be a league average bat, that would be huge for the Rays, because we have seen what happens when an Osleivis Basabe is at the position, when a Taylor Walls is in that position. Balls can get caught, but you're going to see a lot of frustrating at bats.
Yeah, which is unfortunate, and something that Caballero can do that maybe Taylor Walls can't do quite as well, and other shortstops can't do quite as well, is he can hit high heat. He can catch up to a 96, 97, 98 fastball that's up in the zone and pull it, like I mentioned before. Now, one thing that we'll have to continue on in the next segment is I will be curious to see what the Rays do or what their thinking is with right-handed pitchers, because Caballero is much stronger against lefties than righties. 758 OPS versus 588 OPS. Same thing for Taylor Walls. Taylor Walls is better versus lefties than righties. So does anybody, who is that guy that might get some of those at-bats against right-handed pitchers?
That's true. And so that's where, okay, what are the other candidates? Osleivis Basabe, again, also a righty. It's going to be tough to find the right split here for this competition. Yeah.
And maybe the Rays, what they do is say with shortstop, we really don't care about the righty spot. It's defense primarily, and then do what you can, and we'll just take the L against righties to some extent.
And you can do that to like maybe at most two positions. So if you're doing that at shortstop, you have one more out. And, is that catching? Is that Rene Pinto? Like, you're just like, hey, look, he's really good with the catchers. Hopefully he pops up, but we don't really know. That could be your second position. Then you're done. You have to have hitters in your other positions. So with Caballero and Taylor Walls, you will see some Osleivis Basabe ultimately there. And then the two guys that we haven't talked about could be the dark horses.
Yeah. And we'll get to that. But first, Ulises, I think we have to tell the audience something important.
Yes, we do. And that's the fact that, passion, drive, and patience, that's what brings the winning trophy to your house. And guess what? eBay Motors can do that for your ride. With over 122 million parts, you will always find exactly what you need. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back. Isn't that awesome? With all the parts you need at the price that you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Basically, a Caballero diving stop and throw it to first, and the Yankees get swept at Yankee Stadium. Wouldn't that be great? Keep your ride alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit. Only available to U.S. customers.
That's the other thing with Caballero is, again, second base more so than short, but the accurate throws to the first baseman right at the chest. That is good stuff there. Before we get into the dark horse candidates, games played at short between Caballero and Walls. How do you see it breaking down? Assuming with the knowledge that Taylor Walls will miss probably at least a month to start the season. And if I had to guess, just based on history, it probably will take him some time to get back into the groove. So he may not be himself until late May going into June. So I'm guessing that, and maybe I would kind of just hope to see this, Caballero gets at least 100 games at that spot.
That's exactly how I'm looking at it. Caballero takes 100. If he does that, perfect. Because then you have 60 games of a cushion of like, okay, how do we figure this out? 30 games there for Walls.
Yeah,
that would be reasonable. I mean, that's kind of like what he did in 2023. He kind of split 30-30-30 between third, second, and short last year. So with that month off because of injury in the beginning, and maybe a little bit more, like you said, like, you have to get some reps in and maybe spot starts here and there. So 30 for Walls, 100 for Caballero. And then you have 30 games where you can pick your, okay, can this guy come here? Maybe Caballero gets hurt. Maybe Taylor Walls gets hurt again. Hopefully not. But those things happen throughout a 162 game season. So you're going to have to have like 3 guys, I think, after Caballero and Walls to be able to at least man the position for a couple games here and there.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, about 130 games are dedicated to Taylor Walls and Caballero.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
130.
So the other 32 games are going to be split between Osleivis Basabe, X and Y. Who are X and Y?
Okay, X and Y. So I feel like the names are not they're sexy names, but they're not
shortstops.
They're not shortstops. They're not shortstops. So it's Curtis Mead and Junior Caminero. Those are the dark horses here, because we've heard that Curtis Mead is going to try to, not learn the position, but see what they're going to try Curtis Mead out there during spring. And he did, I believe, had like 1 or 2 appearances in shortstop last year when he came up as well. So I think he is a name. Junior Caminero is another name. But when you see Junior Caminero and what he did in Lidom in the Winter League in Dominican Republic, which, by the way, he killed. If you guys don't know his slash line during the winter, look at this: 333 average, 362 OBP, 575 slugging. That's a 936 OPS with 5 home runs. So he killed. In 21 of the games that he played, 18 he played as a third baseman, 1 as a DH, and then 2 games as a shortstop in Dominican Republic. So you can see how it was like, it was still in his bag, but it's definitely not a primordial foundational thing of like, hey, you have to be a shortstop. So is he a possibility that we can see him manning shortstop? Yeah, of course. I would not be surprised at all if I see Junior Caminero being a shortstop in 2024 for the Rays. I would not be surprised if Curtis Mead is a shortstop for the Rays for a couple games here and there. But Osleivis Basabe is really the guy who's going to be taking care of those 30 games that are not within the Taylor Walls and Caballero discussion. Like, it's probably going to be Basabe who's going to
It's not sexy, but that's kind of the guy you need to pinpoint it, because Curtis Mead and Caminero, as it sits right now, putting them at shortstop is sort of like a novelty. It's not really sustainable long term. And I wonder if Curtis Mead, they might try to pencil him in at second more so than third and short, based on some of his elbow and wrist issues, and maybe just try to mitigate that with shorter throws versus longer throws and trying to overextend himself. And Caminero, just the build, though I know I've heard from coaches, from people that have been doing the reporting, that he has worked on himself defensively and that first step quickness and all those things that go hand in hand with being a good shortstop. But I think that you're going to see Caballero, Walls, Basabe, and then little cleanup duty from Mead and Caminero just to see it. 2 names that were not mentioned. One, Carson Williams. I assume that you just think that he is not yet ready for the show. He's got to learn and figure out how to hit breaking balls, because if he can't handle that in AAA, it's going to be rough going in the majors. So maybe working more on that hit tool in contact with another more or less full season in AAA before he gets promoted to the show. I think what he can do defensively and his power is already major league capable and ready, but you can't have that much swing and miss and pitch recognition issues in the high minors and be expected to get it figured out as pitching gets better, the more up you go. And then the interesting case of Wander Franco.
Let's start with the former there. Carson Williams, saw him at FanFest. Dude is way bigger than he looks on TV.
He's only 20. Like, that's the thing we have to remember is, like, Junior Caminero is only 20. Carson Williams is only 20. There's a lot of young guys in the fold here.
Yeah, and Isaac just turned 25 during the weekend. So again, very, very young. With what you're saying with Carson Williams, I mean, a 40% strikeout rate in AAA is not good, but it's also 4 games. So, there has to be something to do with that, the sample size. But regardless, in high A, it was still 32%. So it is something that he needs to work on. I just feel like with all the names that we have said, Caballero, Wallace, Basabe, Mead, Caminero, Carson Williams to be in a Rays uniform in 2024, a lot of bad things would have had to have happened. And even then, I think the option wouldn't be to call up Carson Williams. It would be to get somebody off the scrap heap that has been DFA'd, that is a major league guy. I feel if an IKF gets DFA'd, I think the Rays would rather pick up IKF at league minimum than put up their Carson Williams. Hey, kid, here you go. Like that's what would happen. So no, I see zero chance of Carson Williams he's too young and he needs time to cook.
Yeah.
And one more thing, out of all of those names that I've said, Caballero, Walls, Basabe, the 3 main guys, do they not all have the same profile of more glove than bat? So you're going to supplant, like, it just doesn't make sense.
I think that's most shortstops in general. But
True.
Yeah. Now Wander Franco, over under half a game played this season for the Rays.
I would be. I think it's under, man. I don't think we're gonna see Wander Franco play with. I'll say this because I think it's more. I think this is more closer to the truth. I don't think Wander Franco is going to play with the Rays in 2024. Like I feel pretty. I feel pretty sure about that. I could extend that sentence into something else, but then that just brings a little bit more question marks. But I can say that in 2024, I would be incredibly surprised. I'll say this. I would be more surprised if Wander Franco comes back to play with the Rays than if Curtis Mead wins the Gold Glove as a shortstop.
There we go. What's more likely, Wander playing a game this season or Taylor Walls becoming an all-star this year?
Exactly. Thank you. I would be more surprised Wander coming back than Taylor Walls being an all-star. 100%. Yes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's a tough nut to crack. He is not reported for duty. And well, the other question too is not only does he play this year, but does he get paid by the Rays this year? Because you think so? They're not going to move him to the restricted list or whatever.
I mean, they're going to move him into the administrative list, but they're going to have to pay him until the whole investigation thing is over. So
okay, I didn't know if he could be moved to the restricted list by the Rays and not have to pay him.
I mean, I think that is an option, but just like last year where they did that, they kept paying him. So I don't think there's going to be a change.
That'd probably be a bad PR move. Well, everything about the whole Wander situation is a bad PR move, but the Rays already have a reputation, whether true or false or somewhat accurate, of being cheap and tight with their pennies. And it's $2 million. It'd be one thing if it was $25 million he was later into his contract. But
now
we can
I will say this. maybe somebody close to him. I mean, he's already allegedly been doing stuff that he shouldn't have been doing.
Yeah.
Add that to the list of 3,000 things he shouldn't be doing. Dude, don't post in front of a car on your Instagram.
Oh, he did that?
Put
Cool.
the Instagram down, son.
Yeah,
Come
so great you
on.
can take that away.
You can't be doing this. Like, I think it's way more acceptable of you putting IG stories if you're Wander right now of you hitting than you posting in front of a car.
Yeah.
But again, if you're allegedly doing the stuff that you are, maybe there's not a lot going up there.
Up top in the noggin, yeah. Was that the same car where $650K worth of jewelry was stolen? That's the car.
I don't think so. I think that's another
car. That car at some point. We'll see. Like to end it on this. Name 5 former Rays shortstops that were pinned or designated as yearly starters, according to Baseball Reference.
I like this. I'm gonna get it. Adeiny Echevarria.
Correct. 2017.
Willy Adames.
Correct. 2018 through 2020.
Let's go with Junel Escobar.
Correct. 2013 and 2014.
So I've got 3.
Yes.
Let's go with Reed Brignac.
That would be correct. Short-lived. 2011. Negative 1.3 WAR. That's you.
Nice. And I'm going to go with Asdrúbal Cabrera.
Very good. You're going with the deep cuts. 2015 for Asdrúbal. Yeah, we don't want Carson Williams to become Reed Brignac. We need him to cook a little bit longer.
No.
So Wander's also on this list. Taylor Walls is also on this list. Brad Miller is on this list. And your boyhood dream and favorite, Kelly Johnson, is also, or Elliot Johnson, not Kelly Johnson, Elliot Johnson in 2012.
The office clerk, clerk, Elliot Johnson.
That is amazing. Yeah, they've had a lot of shortstops, a lot of off the scrap heap type of shortstops, or stopgap guys until they got into the then they hit gold for a bit with Adames and then Franco. So there it is. All right. Hope you all enjoyed. I guess next up will be our discussion of third base on the positional preview, not necessarily the order of episodes, but we're going around the infield, then we'll get to the outfield, catcher, and pitchers. I believe that is the format there. So
exactly. Yeah. And we got to talk about the promotional giveaway. So there's a lot to talk about this week. So guys, stay tuned.
Yeah. If you have a preference, what's your favorite or least favorite promotional giveaway for this year and in history and in Rays history? I'd like to know that. Hit it up in the YouTube comments or send us an email, lockedonrays@gmail.com. Best, worst promotional giveaways. It's a Monday. I'm trying to find my words here. Had too much of the free whiskey at FanFest. That was a nice little touch there. I'll note that. All right. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay safe, and we will talk to you tomorrow.